We might as well be talking about this on the
On
podcast,
the
right?
podcast. Yeah.
So, welcome to Faith, Family, and Flag, John Anderson.
Yes, sir.
Had to think
Thank-
about the name for a second.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically, I don't know anything about putting content on YouTube or anywhere else, but I have got it figured out enough to put content out there.
Put it on there.
Yeah. So,
That's what you got to do.
yep, got to start somewhere. So, well, basically, I wanted to just have you on and talk about kind of where you started, where you came from, and where you're at right now, and what you want to have moving forward, I guess. So let's start with how you grew up.
Yeah. So I grew up here in Fairview. Um, Pretty simple. Nothing too extraordinary. We did everything that you'd expect to do in a small town. Um, we worked. That was probably the number one thing that we learned from a young age. You work first and you have fun doing it. That is fun. In our family, there's my grandma had some shirts made back in the 90s, so I was younger, um, and um, the saying on the shirt was "lifetime is working time," and I guess the older that I get, I really resonate with that, and I would add to that that fun is part of working. I enjoy working. Like Bexy and I had this conversation not too long ago about needing to go on vacation, and I was like, I don't like I don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I enjoy being here around the people that I like being around, um, and I enjoy working. Like that is fun for me, and I don't need to go anywhere else. But anyways, so
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say life growing up, um, spent around family, cousins, pretty much 100% of the time. We worked together, we played together, we played sports together, and that was life. That was everything we
Yeah.
did.
So
So
talking about lifetime is working time and vacations and things. Everyone like growing up, it was always like, oh, we went on vacation and we did this thing, and it was like the pinnacle, right?
yeah, yeah,
Movies like show like the pinnacle of life was like on that vacation, this thing happened.
yep.
And then when you actually go on vacation, how many times have you
It's
actually had that
not.
time where it's like, this is what I've been missing my entire
No,
existence, you know?
more often than not, it's so stressful because
Right.
you're trying to get things done so you can leave and go to vacation, or you're
Yep.
on vacation and you're worried about things at home or work, or and I'm like, I mean, there's times where yes, vacations are relaxing, they
Mm-hmm.
have their moments for sure, but I think going on vacation is stressful for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like and it's more the way I'm wired. I'm like I need to be home or want to be home working
You
on
got
the
projects,
things.
you got
Yeah,
things that need to be done. You need to be
always.
working on things. Yeah.
But yeah, you're exactly right. It's
Yeah.
it's rarely like it's portrayed. The vacation is often not something spectacular happening or the
Right.
pinnacle. It's like, oh man, we got to rush to get there. And
Yeah. Yeah. That's
anyway,
that's kind of my experience. And it's not that I'm against vacationing by any
no,
means. Like it's
no,
it's great. And it does have a place, of course, Go see things, go visit people. If you can relax for a little while, but
yeah,
like that, it's not like my whole year I'm waiting for that time when I'm gonna go somewhere. I get way more joy out of projects that I accomplish and accomplishing things, projects with my kids.
yeah, and that you get to enjoy past
Yeah.
the accomplishment of them. Like
Right. Yeah.
they're there and they're
Hmm.
tangible and something that you can use or see or enjoy
Yeah.
after the project.
Right.
And I'm the same way. I enjoy that. So
And half the time, if I want to relax, like if I'm like, I need a disconnect, I want to do it at home.
Yeah.
I don't want to go somewhere and disconnect at a hotel or something. Or,
Yep.
I mean, Airbnbs are better, but even still, it's like you get there, you only have a certain amount of things with you. You don't,
Yeah, you don't have all your
yeah,
comforts of home. Right.
right. Yeah. Anyway,
No, so yeah, growing up was much of that. We worked, we played, we did all the things. We did dumb stuff. Um, I'll actually tell you a story because I just was thinking about this morning. Uh, we got up, we were cleaning the house and whatnot, and the kids were being kids, and I just had this thought. I was like, what would I be doing at 8 to 10 years old on a Saturday morning, back in the day? And I had this vivid memory of um, me and a couple of my cousins. We we were at their house, and we had a bow and arrow that we would shoot straight up in the air, and we would try to dodge the arrow, and it wasn't a blunt
right,
either.
right.
And I'm like, I had that thought this morning. I was like, why don't my kids go out and do dumb things like we do? And then I think a little bit. I'm like, hopefully we've evolved a little bit,
Right. Yeah.
from them. Like, that was not smart. Luckily, nobody got hurt, but I was actually thinking about that this morning. And, but yeah, most of my childhood all of it revolved around sports. Like, that was my life. That's what I enjoyed. I still enjoy it. And so we did, every free moment we got, we were playing something,
Mm-hmm.
basketball, football, baseball, as much as we could.
Yeah.
And then as I grew up and we got into high school, got more serious about it, and tried to train, as much as we could, with the resources that we had,
Mm-hmm.
and which, looking back was minimal, compared to what our kids have now, the access that they have
Right. Yeah.
to both, I would say, to professional athletes, through the internet, learning things that they do, which we had a little bit of, but the access to the athletes wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
And like coaching
Yeah.
and teams, like other teams to play and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't do a ton of sports when I was young, but I remember friends, Shar played sports and stuff. And it's like, if you played in Sanpete, you played like
City
rec,
League.
rec
That was
ball.
it.
And
Yeah.
then that was the only thing that you did in Sanpete.
Yeah.
And then everything else, it was high school. There wasn't like these, at least in my memory, there wasn't like, oh, I go up north to play anything.
Yeah, I don't recall. I mean, I'm sure there was. I'm sure there was that,
Mm-hmm.
or kids doing that, but it wasn't prevalent, and it wasn't something I was aware of, like
Yeah.
you said. And the city leagues obviously were more competitive then,
Right. Because it
because
has everyone.
had everyone. All the athletes were playing, and the kids, and so. But now, they're getting pulled out of that because kids are going up north, to get more access to both, trainers and facilities and more teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it's hard as a parent because you're like, you don't want to necessarily pull them out, like you're saying, and pull the talent. Or I'm not saying my kids are the best, but they're kids that are talented in a sport, and so
Sure.
like I'm pulling them away from the community.
Yeah.
To have them go play somewhere else, but at the same time, if that's what they want to do, it's hard to say, sorry, kid, you have to
Sure.
not.
Yeah, it's and we're different in the fact because we're a little more remote, right?
Mhm.
So we have to drive an hour or an hour and a half
Yeah.
up and an hour and a half back. And so I feel like it's a double-edged sword, in the sense that you take them up there and they do have more access because there's more people,
Mhm.
right? There's more teams, there's more competition, and that's fine. That's what you go up there for. But at the same time, you're taking them away from your friends, and you've experienced that firsthand.
Yeah.
Taking them away from friends or, activities, because you're now spending, 3 hours a day or,
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours a day just driving.
Yeah. The time taken away,
Yeah.
even, down to that. It's crazy.
So there's some give and take for sure. But like you said, if that's something that they're willing to put in the work, like
Hmm.
I'm willing to do that too. But again, us growing up, we didn't have that. It was city league,
Right.
rec league stuff, and that's all we knew,
Hmm.
and that's what everybody did, and we loved it. And so, um, yeah, we enjoyed that. Eventually, as we got into high school, things got more serious, and we started competing more, training more, trying to get better. And I loved that. I enjoyed that. I loved my coaches. I loved being pushed to get better and to work for something. I think that was, like we just talked about, I enjoyed the journey. It was never about the end goal is this. And if I don't get this, everything else is a failure type of
Hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
I've never really looked at life like that. I've always, I guess, looked at it as learning experience, and nothing's ever lost. Win or lose,
Right.
there's always something to learn. And anyways, that was just ingrained in me. And just competing in general, in everything that I did, I thrived on that and
Mm.
just really, really enjoyed that. So, um, yeah, that was life growing up. I would say everything was a competition, from work to sports,
Right.
and that's how we had fun. The competition kept things lively. So, um,
What was your favorite sport when you were young?
um, my favorite sport was always football. I was going to the NFL. If you asked me,
I was just gonna ask you
that
that.
was my I was going to the NFL, no matter what, and that was, I quickly learned, once I got into high school and to college, that um, the athletes and the athletic ability that it took to continue playing.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I don't have that. But as I was young and naive, I was going to the NFL. I loved everything else. Basketball obviously was a very, very close second, but NFL or
Hmm.
the football
Football.
was always my favorite.
Sweet.
So, um, yeah, from there,
And you played in
um,
college too, right?
I did, well, played, that's loose terms. I
You were
went
on the
to,
team.
I was on the team. So I went to Snow, and I ended up getting injured my first year, like 3 days or 4 days before our first game. I tore my hamstring
Mm,
pretty much off the bone,
dang.
and it was, I mean, it was pretty serious. So basically, from my lower back all the way down to my ankle, my whole leg was swollen. It was black and blue for weeks and weeks. It was probably the most painful injury I've ever had.
Hmm.
Um, and I just didn't, that first year, just didn't recover from that. I mean, I didn't even start running again until the next year.
Right.
And even then, I didn't really trust it. Eventually that came back, and so yeah, so I, that first year at Snow, I had a lot of mental reps, and just watched practice and
Nice.
helped the best way that I could. But yeah, I never participated in any games. That's how I ended up meeting Bexy. Is
Oh.
actually that injury led to us, I think, getting married,
Hmm.
because I met her the first day of school that year, and then we were supposed to leave for our first game, which I would have been gone for the 3 or whatever day weekend, because we were traveling. I think it was to New Mexico. The team was, and because I didn't go because I was injured, I ended up spending that weekend, well, laid up. I couldn't walk, but Bexy came over, and I mean, that's where we kind of got to know each other.
Hmm.
We just talked the whole weekend. And so I would say that directly contributed to us at least dating,
Yeah.
and starting from there. And who knows what would have happened if I had gone? Maybe we wouldn't have connected. Um, but yeah, it was pretty interesting timing. Now looking back at everything, hard to go through, but thankful for it. And then my second year there at Snow, I practiced all spring, did fall ball. I was feeling pretty confident about playing that year, and then same thing, injury happened. It was
Oh,
right, a week or two before our first game. I just fell awkward on my wrist, ended up breaking my wrist, and so I got put in a cast, or had surgery, got put in a cast. I was in a cast for however long, couple months, 8 weeks or so. And by the time I came back, I didn't wasn't able to rehab and get back in and play. I wasn't physically able to do it in that long of a season.
right.
Plugging someone back in is really hard. So yeah, I practiced for 2 years at Snow College. I never stepped foot on the field. But I loved it. There was a lot of learning that went into that. And grateful for the time. But yeah, so I practiced at Snow for 2 years.
Dude, I mean, you're sitting here telling me about this, that you practiced for 2 years, never played, but you've got a big old smile on your face, so it must have been okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, the competition and being around your friends, there's nothing
Yeah,
that replaces that,
right.
or compares to that. Just because that's how I was wired, right? I love the competition. I love being around people that are in that same mindset. Like, everybody is working to get better. And the cause in that aspect was the team. The team is getting better because each individual is getting better. And I just love that.
Sweet.
So,
So what did you study, and well, what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up in high school?
I didn't know. I actually don't. When I realized that I wasn't going to the NFL, which was probably in high school, if I'm being realistic,
Like deep down inside.
deep down inside, I'd never admit that to anybody, but I didn't know. I never gave that a thought enough to say, this is where I want to go, or this is where I want to be. I went on my mission to New York, and I recall having an interview with my mission president as I left, because he knew I was going home to play football at Snow. And he asked me that same question. He's like, what do you want to do, or what do you want to be? What are you going to study? Are you going to go into? And I just remember thinking, and I asked him, I was like, I don't know. Like, what should I do? You know me pretty well. What do you think? And he's like, it doesn't matter. I'll just find something. His words were, find something that you're good at, and the world will pay you to do it. And it's sitting there. I was like, that is the weirdest advice. And I remember thinking, I don't think that's how it works. Like, you don't get it just fit. And now the world that we live in is just that.
Yeah.
It's like, find something that you're passionate about and figure out a way to make it your livelihood.
Yeah.
And more people are doing that.
As I become an adult and start to see the world around me, as I become, I've been an adult for a while, but as I open my eyes as an adult, I guess, it seems like that has been going on for a long time. Like, that thought process has been out there for a long time, but we just didn't see it growing up. Like, it wasn't a visible, tangible thing that you could recognize and say, oh, that's what that person is doing. Like, I remember seeing people when I was young and seeing successful people that were like kind of not really fitting into a typical picture, and I even had some mentor me a bit and stuff, but it didn't ever like click in my mind until quite a bit later in my life that like they were just that like entrepreneur style, do what you want to do, but do it where you can make money,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and I think that's opened up because once one person breaks the barrier,
Mm-hmm.
it gives everybody behind them the essentially the go ahead, right?
Right. Yeah.
To
Mm-hmm.
continue breaking barriers. And
Yeah.
I
There's
mean you
like a
can
phenomenon about that, like with running and stuff. Like
yeah,
when someone gets to a certain point where they break a record,
yep,
then it's like not very long before a bunch of people break it,
yeah.
you know? And it's just like a block that we have in our brain where like we can't see into the unknown enough to say, well, I could venture out into that until someone does. Then you're like, oh, now I see.
Yeah. Well, it's not everything is impossible until it's possible.
Right.
And it just takes one person to let the rest of the world know that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing that, I feel like it opens the floodgates um of pushing limits
Right.
in everything. And that's something that's really exciting for me. And I try to, you know, as I raise my kids, I like there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
Like literally the only thing that would stop you from accomplishing anything is you.
Right. Yeah.
It's not outside sources, or it's not um you know, it's not outside people, it's not circumstances. I mean, because everybody's heard of stories of people who, you know, have been raised in the toughest of circumstances
Mm-hmm.
and they've been able to overcome it.
Right.
And so it's nobody can stop you from accomplishing anything except for you.
Yeah.
And that is freeing. Um, I believe that is freeing for everybody. And then it's just a choice from there whether you want to be a person that pushes the limits to go accomplish the things despite the fear that everybody, I believe everybody inherently has fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
It's there. You know, whether you admit it or not, it's like, oh, this is scary. I don't know if I'm going to succeed. But is that going to stop you from doing the thing?
Right.
Or is that going to be like, yeah, it's there,
Mm-hmm.
but
And see, I wonder if that like is almost like a double-edged sword a little bit, because back in the day when we were young and we saw these people that were doing things like this, did they were their failures as seen? You know, now it's like you fell and it's like a spectacular display for
yeah,
everyone to see and watch as you crash and burn and stuff, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
huh,
You know, it's all in the way that you look, like you're saying, like win or not, there's something to be learned and something to accomplish with it. And so can you just realize that rather than seeing yourself as the crashing and burning, you know?
yeah. No, I agree. And I think that letting people know that it's okay to fail is a good thing
Mm-hmm.
because nobody wins all the time.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Um, and knowing that failure is not a bad thing but a learning thing is important to me. You know,
Yeah.
I coach a lot of youth sports for my kids, and that's what I try to ingrain in them. Maybe I don't articulate it and I need to do a better job, but failure is not a bad thing. It's a learning tool.
Right.
And how you respond from failing is allowing you to progress
Yeah.
time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that goes right into what we did. So I did as a living. So after Snow College, I started selling door to door
Right.
alarm systems, and I planned on doing it for a year to try it out and see how it went.
Was it a missionary that got you into this,
Uh,
or someone from your mission?
no, it wasn't.
Oh wow.
It was a friend, and I don't even know how it came about. There was contact from a friend from high school. It was her husband, and I don't know how they got hooked up, but connected with Tyson,
Oh yeah.
church, and then Tyson, wrangled a bunch of us into it, and then it just went from there. It's like, oh, this is a summer job,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
you know,
lucrative.
and lucrative.
You
Yeah,
know.
it could be
Yeah,
lucrative.
yeah.
Had the potential, and I was like, okay, I'll go try it for a year. Bexy and I were just married, and so we liked the idea of the upside
Mm-hmm.
of selling, but didn't know what to expect.
Right. Well, and like, what's the downside? Like, you guys are newlyweds. You get to go try
Yeah,
somewhere. It's like,
live somewhere else for a
yeah,
little while, see
yeah.
something that we'd never seen. So yeah, we were like, okay, let's go do it. And then we got out there, and man,
Where
it
did you go first?
it sucked. Our first year was, I believe it was Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
I think that's right. We did a lot of years and went to a lot of places, but I believe that's right. And it was well, aside from my mission, of course, we were in humidity, but man, it was so hot.
Mm-hmm.
You're out there in the middle of the day. Nobody wants to talk to you. Um, you're not good at selling. And so just door after door after door. I mean, I probably knocked. I remember making a tally mark on my paper, on my binder, of how many doors I knocked, and without a sell.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I mean, hundreds.
Jeez.
And
Had to get new paper.
yeah, I mean, the paper was sweaty and smeared from
Right.
carrying it around.
Yeah.
And just the a lot of people came out and they tried it and they went home
Mm-hmm.
because it's brutal. It's not something that I would say is I mean, it's definitely not easy, but it's a hard process to go cold call someone, sell them something that they're not looking for,
Mm-hmm.
and get them to sign up for that. And so at that point, it's more mental toughness than anything. And the guys that could push through that mental battle ended up doing really well. And it was a good job. And so, I mean, we fought through the summer. I think that first summer I ended up making 30,000. That's what I make, and then minus deductions, I don't remember what I ended up taking home. But in a 4-month span,
I mean, that's not bad at all.
no, it was it was
that time
amazing money.
Because this would have been like what, in 2010ish?
So 2010,
something like that.
was that right? Yeah, 2010 was our first
Okay.
year, and I mean, it's more money than I'd ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I made that kind of money for the first like 3 jobs I had after I got married. It wasn't until I started working at the coal mine before I actually got anything close to that.
Yeah,
And
that's a full year.
Yeah, full year, and that was in 4 months, right?
Yeah,
3 months.
that was in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Time. And so after seeing that, we were like, okay, this is not bad. We could do this another year. And anyways, that snowballed into, I did it for 9 years, I think, 9 or 10 years. I don't remember. But it was.
What did you do on the off season? Like, did you come back for school? Because did you graduate snow or?
Yeah, so I graduated from snow, and then after snow, we moved up north. And at that point, I had kind of figured out that I was interested in being an occupational therapist, which is, someone who goes in and there's so many different avenues that you could take as an occupational therapist. So it could be someone working in a corporate setting that is helping people understand how to be more efficient in their jobs. It's someone that could work in a hospital and work with people with motor skills, or in school districts where they're, again, helping with motor skills and activities. There's just a lot of different avenues. And so I had actually started job shadowing an occupational therapist here in Mount Pleasant that would go to the hospital, and then one that went to the school district and worked with kids. And I really liked it. I was currently, during that time, I was working at a boys' home just as um, a staff member, regular staff member. And they had occupational therapists that would come in there and kind of do a hybrid occupational therapy with rec therapy,
Okay.
where you're taking boys out and just getting them into activities that help them be more active and mobile and enjoy life, really.
Right.
And I was like, I could do this. Like, this is cool. This is the setting that I would enjoy. So I graduated Snow. I had that as an idea of something that I wanted to go into. And so I applied to the occupational therapy program up at the University of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And I had taken all the tests necessary. The one specifically I remember was the GRE. And I can't remember how that was scored, but I got probably middle of the pack or higher middle scoring on it. So it was decent. I had great grades. School was always something that I didn't mind doing. I was a procrastinator, but I was pretty decent at procrastinating. I could get my stuff done and I tested decently. So I had good grades going in. I had my job shadowing hours, like all the requirements that was necessary to get into the program, I had. And the occupational therapy program up there at the University of Utah is pretty competitive, but I felt like I had a good chance of getting into it. And so I applied. I worked with my counselor up there, and she was one that was very encouraging and, told me the same thing that I felt. They're like, yeah, you've got a good chance of getting in. And so I applied up there, and I didn't end up getting into the program. And the reason they told me that I didn't get in was because they said I filled out my application wrong, and it had something to do with my class schedule.
That's it?
That's what they said. They said the reason was because I filled out the application class schedule part of past credits and classes that I'd taken, that it made it so basically my application was invalid.
Wow.
It seemed like a joke to me, and I was pretty upset at the time. But again, hindsight, it turned out to be the best thing for us and our family. But I was pretty upset. And so my counselor instructed me to, go to school, take a couple of these classes that would look stronger on my resume and my application to apply the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved up north. We moved in with my aunt and uncle in Draper, and I went to the University of Utah for a semester, and then Bexy worked and went to school up there too. And so, yeah, we moved up there. That was an eye-opening experience for me, going up to the U. I actually really enjoyed it. Classes I really enjoyed. And so we did that one semester, and we knew that we were pregnant, and we were looking to buy a house, and I wanted to buy one that I could fix up, which also meant that was the only thing we could afford.
Right.
And so we ended up buying a house in American Fork. It was a foreclosed house. Nobody had been in it in a year or two. Like it was a dump.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's what we need, because we can afford that and we can go in and fix it up. And so, I mean, this house needed new everything. I mean, everything was gutted except for the exterior walls.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a whole new floor plan, all new electrical, plumbing. I mean, you name it. It was a brand new house except for the exterior walls.
Right.
And that was a big project. And so I decided to take the next semester off so that we could make sure and get the house done in time so we could move in. And bring our first child home to that house. And so I worked on that day in and day out with my dad. I mean, he would drive up several times a week, and because I didn't know how to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, Dad, can you come help me? So he'd come up, he'd spend the day with me, he'd show me how to do the project, whatever we were working on, and get me started on it. And then I'd work on that till the next project, or could tell he could come up
Right.
again. And so that really, I would say, jump started our love for real estate. It's from that point, I mean, we bought and remodeled and moved into and then sold a lot of homes, and we loved it. We were,
Isn't there just something awesome about finding a house like that where
oh
you're like,
man,
this house, you look at like the worst house on the block,
yeah,
right? And so you're like,
and
this is a good neighborhood.
yeah,
The house is kind of junky, but you walk in and it's like you can just see the possibilities open up. Like, oh yeah, this could go away. We can change this to that. We can redo the kitchen in this open layout. Like I love that concept of like the real estate side of things. One of my favorite things in the
yeah,
world.
sure, yeah, it is. So you,
I was really trying to not say a pyramid scheme.
yeah,
I was trying to not say that, but that's how it looks.
It's yeah. So you've got your sales reps, your managers, your regional
Yeah.
managers, and so on and so forth. Up
So
the
how high do you
food
have to
chain.
get of that in order to make it like a regular job? Does it ever become that?
Sure. Yeah. There were guys that were just amazing at recruiting, and they could recruit and they could train. And I was surrounded by a lot of guys that were just awesome at that. And I admired that, because recruiting people into that world for me was just so hard, because I saw both sides of it, just being going out of it can be a really good thing
Mm-hmm.
for people that can stick it out, and it can also be something that is super devastating, because
Right.
you go out and you give it your all and you work your butt off, and it's hot and you're away from home and your support system's not there, and you're getting chased off the doors every day. And so it can be devastating emotionally, mentally. And I saw guys come out and really sincerely give it their all and just not make any money.
Hmm.
And not only were they not making money, but they were also spending money, right, to live.
Yeah.
And so you're like, hey, you've been out here X amount of time. You should probably go home.
So
So
the
it's- yeah.
structure kind of like you get like your main door-to-door sales guys,
Mhm.
and then you have like I'm guessing some sort of like an area or regional manager.
Yeah.
And that person probably still does a lot of door-to-door sales too. Or no?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
They're out knocking. There was nobody that really wasn't working.
You got to go up a few levels to
You gotta
get to
go up
where
a
you're
few.
just a management type
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, so the office, or the team manager, is usually the best guy out there.
Mhm.
He's out selling everybody, and he's leading from the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to have guys in front of us leading us that were just awesome people, worked their butts off, led the right way. And so I had a lot of people that I looked up to that were not only good at selling and set a good example that way, but were good people, were good friends, and they were good at business. They did things outside of selling
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, opened my eyes to the possibility of getting into something else. And I would say that was the most impactful experience through, I would say, my education years, was selling, because I learned more about business, relationships, sales skills, entrepreneurship, um, selling than I ever did in school.
Yeah.
And I would say that is what both fueled me and catapulted me forward in thinking that, differently about the way I went about things
Hmm.
because of what I saw, our managers or leaders doing that I really looked up to. So I tried, through selling, I tried recruiting and I recruited a couple of my friends,
Right.
my cousins,
People, you know.
people that I knew because it was good for me. And it was out of, I wanted them to come experience what I did.
Yeah.
Um, because it's good for us. But it was also, it was really hard. And so I tried to prepare them and help them and train them the best that I could. And it was just, it was hard. I didn't enjoy recruiting people. And so I never started my own team or anything.
Gotcha.
I worked with my buddies from around here from beginning to the end.
Okay.
And I just went out and worked. I went out and sold. I did my job. I got better every year and got to the point where, I knew the numbers that I needed to hit and I would hit those numbers. And sometimes it took me a little extra stretch into the fall. Um, but I would always do it. And then we'd come home and, like I said, jump into some other projects. So, but it was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't home for it, and it must have been pretty short because it like wasn't raining when I hit the canyon, and by the time I got here, it was done raining. But, you
Yeah.
know,
We had a good one yesterday.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I would say sales was something that just catapulted me into a different mindset of what was possible or what was to come and things that I enjoyed. It made me realize too that I was um unemployable
yeah. I know what you mean.
in a sense that I wanted to work for myself.
Yeah,
Because I felt like I had the skills necessary to start a business or run a business or anything like that. I didn't know what that meant or how that was going to translate, but I learned that that was something that I was interested in.
yeah,
But getting out of that world is hard
dude. It's never easy.
because yeah, you're going and working, 4, 5, 6 months out of the year and you can make enough to support your family on that and then have the rest of those months off. That's a hard cycle to get out of, especially when you're making decent money to then go and work for someone else full time.
Yeah,
And so a lot of guys have a hard time getting out of that. But it got to a point for me. I think we had 3 kids at the time. Let's see. 16, maybe 4. We were having our 4th child. So my last year selling, my last year selling and what really pushed me over the edge of being like, okay, I've got to move on.
mhm.
Because it's hard to drag your family across country.
Once you start getting a couple kids,
Yeah.
it's hard to travel like that.
It's really hard. So that last year, Bexy didn't, it was just too hard on her because I wasn't around. I wasn't available. I mean, we're out there, we're working, we're not doing anything else.
Hmm.
And so it was really hard on her. But that last year, I was away from my home for 7 months.
Dang.
And a lot of that was, I was gone while Bexy and the kids were here.
Hmm.
And after that, I was like, yeah, that's not how I want to.
Yeah, over half the year gone, that'd be rough.
Yeah, I didn't want to live like that. And it was stressful on Bexy, trying to raise the kids and without me around, just the support and the stress and the exhaustion on her was hard.
Hmm.
and being gone. I didn't enjoy being away from them. So I was like, okay, this is the last year. What are we gonna do after that?
I really do feel like kind of like what you're talking about. Sales is like the place where you can merge like the typical lifestyle into the abnormal lifestyle. And I say abnormal, like I don't know that the lifestyle that everyone lives right now, like the 9 to 5 is what I usually call it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that's like a typical or normal lifestyle for people. I think more and more as I get older, it's not a good thing for a lot of people. It's not healthy for a lot of people in a lot of ways. And it doesn't really build you as a person in a lot of ways either.
Not a lot of fulfillment.
Yeah. And like it's nice to be a part of something and make something work as a group, which you do in a company, but it's not, it's like you don't,
But you got
it's
to be
your
passionate
distance.
about it.
Yeah, you're distance from the product and you're
Yeah.
distance from the concepts, and it's not you that's receiving any of the benefit necessarily. And so it makes it like, I don't know, I feel like when you get into the 9 to 5 where everyone tries to put you into, like that's where school tries to put you into it,
Yeah.
it just doesn't match well with people as a general rule. But we force ourselves into it, and we force because that's what we see. We see it in
Yeah.
movies, we see it on neighborhoods and everything else. Everyone does this thing, and it's supposed to be the right way. But how many 9 to 5ers do you see retire and are actually happy, or feel like they feel fulfilled and stuff?
Well, it's hard. And that's what I gravitated so much. That's why I gravitated so much towards um, selling and the people that I worked with is because they were in charge of themselves in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that um, like their success and being able to provide for their family was 100% on them.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something where, if they took a day off, they knew that that was time that they weren't providing income for their family because
Right.
100% commission means you don't work, you don't sell, you don't get paid,
Yeah.
you don't provide. And as people got better at that I was surrounded by, they started venturing out into other a lot of them started as just side hustles that then turned
Mm-hmm.
into their main hustle, and they left selling to go do that. And I saw that and I was like, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, because they were in control. Succeed or failure,
Yeah.
it was on them. And you can't blame anybody else. And so taking ownership of that, it always intrigued me.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that's why I kept going back. It was a good income for my family, but the people surrounding me, I
Yeah.
felt like forced me to become better in a lot of aspects of my life. And I enjoyed being pulled
Right.
by that. And I think that's what happens. And what you're referring to is, if you get comfortable in a 9 to 5 job, majority of people are there, because they're providing for their family, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what they know how to do, and
And
which
life is
is
structured to match it.
it is.
Mortgages are structured to match it, like
Yeah,
car payments, anything like that. Like the way you purchase anything is
is.
structured to where you should be working,
Yep.
getting a 2 week paycheck
Yep.
and working for the rest of the time.
Yeah. No, and I think that's I think that hurts imagination and
Yeah.
creativity, and it dulls it down, right? Because it's not necessary in those aspects,
Yeah.
in those avenues. And so I just get so excited when I see people starting their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pumped for them. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because, it takes a lot of guts, first of all, because again, fear of the unknown. What if I fail? What if I invest everything I have into this and it doesn't work? There's a lot of risk in that. But for me, when I see people do it, I'm like, this is awesome. Go do
Yeah.
it. Like go make it work. And so, yeah, that is what I think kept me going back to selling is I liked being around people with that mindset,
Right.
and it just
Well, and that's huge.
made me better.
If you're gravitating to that, you need to be around those people because
Oh
the
yeah.
more you're around the 9 to 5, it just sucks you back in. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, it was so that was good. We got out of that. Let's see. So we started, so I guess rewind a little bit. So we started the gym in the end of 2015.
so it was before you finished selling.
Yeah, so my last year selling was 2017, 2018.
Okay. Let's pause for just a second. All right, we're back. We just left off with oh, there's some good thunder.
Okay.
Um last years of selling and starting the gym.
Oh yeah. So
2015 was starting the gym. Right.
so 2015 came around. I was out selling. I don't know if we were in, I can't remember where we were, Oklahoma maybe. And I got a phone call middle of the day. I'm out selling, and I saw that it was Lloyd. And so I was like, oh, I'll go take this. I'll go sit in my car in the air conditioning and
Have a breather.
have a breather. So I go sit down, take this phone call, and Lloyd calls me. He's like, hey, I just remember him saying, it's probably not how the conversation went at all, but what I recall was, hey, you want to buy a building with us?
That sounds like Lloyd.
It sounds like Lloyd
That's
now.
probably
Anybody
exactly
you
how it
know?
was.
So I was like, I don't know. Do I? Like, why are you buying a building? And so he explained that, he and Katie had been looking for a space for her photography to continue to grow so that they could actually, turn it into a viable business. They either needed to grow it or shut it down. That's kind of where they were at. And so they were looking at different spaces, and the building that we're in now, came up, and Lloyd, he's a talker and a networker, and he somehow started talking to this guy that owned it. And I think Lloyd approached him just with the mindset of, hey, could we rent some space from you? And anyways, it turned into this guy's like, oh, we're moving, our kids are done with school, and so we'd like to sell it. And at that point, it wasn't anything that was on their radar, but when the guy told him that, Lloyd's wheels started turning and be like, okay, well, maybe we should buy this. And so they weren't in any position to buy the building. We definitely weren't in any position to buy the building, and we weren't looking, right? It wasn't anything on my radar at all. So Lloyd called me, he tells me all this, and I was like, at this point, I had started a business with my dad, remodeling homes. So we worked together, and so that was my side hustle when I wasn't out selling. Is me and my dad would work together on these houses, and it had done, we'd done pretty well with it. We'd found a little bit of success in selling a few homes. And so, my first call after talking to Lloyd, cause I'm like, I don't know if we want to buy a building or if we could even afford a building. And so my first phone calls to my dad, and, of course he already knew about it cause he'd talked to Katie and Lloyd. And I was like, well, this doesn't work unless, you're on board with it, because the only money that we had was in that business with my dad. And so I'm like, if we do this, like, you're in.
Yeah.
So, you've got to agree to this too. And so, it was, so Lloyd, what he told me on that phone call was, hey, this guy's selling this building. I think we should buy it. Katie can work out of the upstairs. And he's like, this guy's got some gym equipment in the main level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's not really running a gym, but he's running a gym. And
Yeah.
he's like, he's probably got, I don't know, a couple members. I don't know how many there was.
Rusty.
Rusty was there.
Rusty.
Rusty is one of the originals that had been there from day one with that guy. And then there was a few others, but Lloyd's like, hey, you've talked about at least starting a gym. And it wasn't really even me talk about it. Tyson, my buddy,
Mm-hmm.
had talked about it. And that was something that he wanted to do and thought would be a good idea. Cause there was not a gym in town. The only gym was the
Right.
high school. And of course they didn't want the community in there anymore. That was for the students. Yeah. And so Tyson had talked about it and I was like, okay, that it's a possibility, especially if the guy's already got some equipment in there. That makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, it gives you a jump on it.
Yeah, it gives us a jump. And so anyways, we decided that, yeah, let's try it. So we bought the building and it was a disaster, but it wasn't anything that we weren't used to in the houses that we'd done.
Yeah, right.
So it was something that we knew we could go in and make better, clean up. And I mean, it's still an old building. It's almost, it's 91 years old.
Dang.
And needed a lot of love. And man, we put in so much work in that building. It might not appear, but I mean, it didn't have any heat in it. It had the old boiler system,
right,
which hadn't been used in a while. It had some firewood stoves dispersed through the building, and then little wall mounted gas heaters.
Oh, really?
and so we went in.
I remember those in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Rusty telling me on cold winter days, he would go to the gym, he would turn that thing on and let it run for an hour or two. And he would leave, and then come back. Right. And it was, you go and do your lift, and then you come back and warm up next to the heater. And then you'd go and do another lift and you'd come back. And so we went through that building. We replaced all the old windows on the main level. We cut out all the cast iron pipe that steam system was in and hauled all that out. We put in four furnaces and air conditioners. We painted the place. We started bringing in new equipment as we could. And so we slowly made it better, but it wasn't anything that anybody could live off of. So we started the gym in 2015, the end of 2015. And it was just there in Mount Pleasant at that building. So I would go out and sell during the summer. So 2016, and Katie and Lloyd would run the gym. Tyson, I mentioned him earlier. He was part of the, we brought him in as a partner because I was like, hey man, this was your plan. Like, you talked about this. We've got an opportunity to do it. I want you to be part of it. And so Tyson was part of it as well. And so, 2016, we went out and sold. Lloyd and Katie would run the gym while I was gone. And then when I came back in the fall, then I would run the gym, me and Tyson. And we did that, like I said, for a couple of years.
Oh, and I remember, I don't think I started going to the gym until it had to have been after, because before that, I went to Walk Area for a little while, which was there in Mount Pleasant, but it was a CrossFit gym and they just allowed people to lift there that weren't CrossFitters.
Yeah.
But it was never like a gym, But that was where I worked out before I went into the military. And then I don't think I went to your gym until after, so it probably would have been like the end of 2016-ish.
Okay.
But I remember, like, to think about it then versus now, it's entirely different space.
Well, and when we started, it was just one room.
Yeah, just that one room.
It was
and
one room.
Half of the room you see now.
Yeah. Well, and because all the other rooms were full of crap. And then that's why. And so eventually it, grew into, we'd clean out one room and we're like, okay, the gym's expanding into this next room. Then
Mhm.
we'd clean out the other room and the gym's expanding into that. Anyways, so it's been a very interesting uh, path, I would say, in that building. It's not built
Right.
for a gym.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not great space. It's all chopped up, but I mean, it's cool. It's an old building, and
Yeah.
um, it's served a lot of people over the
Yeah.
last 10 years. It's been kind of exciting, but so yeah, I stopped selling. Like I said, I think 2018 was my last year, and I came home, and the gym was, again, it was not something that made money,
Hmm.
that could provide for a family. I mean, it paid for itself, and that was it.
Right.
And so when I came home, I was like, I would like to do the gym full time, but I can't. So nobody got paid. Um, and
Before we leave selling completely, did you ever run into Lloyd selling?
no, no, we never sold for the same company. He
Oh, okay.
he was yeah, he did sell for the company that I did, but we were never in the same office. That was my first year.
Okay.
Um, but I and Katie hadn't even met him.
Right. This is
Uh,
before everything.
yeah, so we no, we never ran into each other, never didn't know each other. And then he sold for different companies. I
Okay.
was with the one company my whole time. I never changed.
Right.
So
Okay. I just wondered.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I came home from selling that year. I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? So I still run in the gym, but again, it's not spitting off any money for us. Still working on projects with my dad. But I was like, I need a job. I need some steady income
Right. Something that's gonna
that,
maintain like
yeah,
even just a baseline.
yeah, just
Like I can cover
something.
the bills.
Yeah, need something. And so I was fortunate enough to
Yeah.
go work at the hardware store. John let me come in, and he was good to me, worked with my schedule because he knew I had other things that I wanted to do. Um, but he was good to me and letting me come in and work. And so I worked there for probably 6 months, maybe a little longer. Um,
I forgot you worked at the hardware store.
yeah.
That's a
So
long time ago.
and I enjoyed it. I mean, because it was things that I loved. It was around things and people, again, that I liked doing,
Yeah.
and talking to people about their projects or helping them try and figure out how to fix this or that. And so it was an environment that, again, I enjoyed being in,
And it was still sales
and
technically.
it was still sales. Yeah. Um, but I quickly realized that I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't have the freedom to, I guess, come and go or work on different projects while I was working there, because while I was working there, I needed to be there
Yeah.
and give that my attention. And so, um, we did that, like I said, did that for a little while. Um, and then I think from there, I'm trying to remember, but I think from there I transitioned fully into working for the gym. And so at this
Was that
point,
is that before any other gyms or was that just Mount Pleasant at
it's
the time?
just Mount Pleasant.
Okay, so just Mount Pleasant
Just
at
Mount
this
Pleasant is
time.
our only location, yeah.
Gotcha.
And like I said, nobody's getting paid from the gym. Um, so we were living off of our savings during that year or two, whatever it was. And it got to the point where we ran out of savings, and I was like, okay, the gym has to start paying me at least to cover my bills.
Right.
And so that's what we did. The gym paid so that I can make enough money to pay for my bills, keep my family going. And so I transitioned full time to working at the gym, and that next year, so 2019, is when we purchased Ephraim. And that
Okay.
was something that we were working on. That was like a 1 or 2 year process.
Yeah, because you like approached him and they weren't interested at first,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Lloyd approached them
Oh, okay.
and they weren't interested in Lloyd. Uh, that's our joke. Lloyd lines up the deals. I
Hmm.
come in and close them. Um, I'm more of a people person
Right.
than Lloyd.
It's very straightforward.
Yes, and so a acquired taste, but it worked out good. And Ephraim, it was one of those things, and Lloyd probably told you, but we just found people jumping from our gym to their gym, and
Hmm.
from their gym to our gym, and people don't want to have two memberships. And
Yeah.
so Lloyd's like, well, we need to solve this. Why don't we try and buy them? And so we went and we started that conversation with them, and I mean they were awesome through the whole process, and eventually it just took time where we were able to figure out a deal that worked for them and for us.
Hmm.
And they in that process it was Lloyd and I using all the skills that we had learned in the past 10 years in selling, because we didn't have money
Hmm.
and we couldn't get a loan to buy the gym, um, because we just weren't. We were both self-employed,
Right.
and being self-employed, you don't show any
Yeah.
income.
That's that same thing we were talking about. Like life is built to be 9 to 5.
Yeah,
If you're
exactly.
outside that picture,
It doesn't work.
nothing is set up for you.
Yeah, so we're not a good option financially for anybody to loan money to. And anyways, so through the experience and skills that we had learned in the past previous 10 years selling, we were able to find a deal that worked for them and for us. And we ended up closing that in 2019. And so we now had 2 locations, and we're on top of the world. And we're like, okay, this
You're
is
like, we're
this is
gym
it.
owners.
Yeah, we're
That's what
gym
we
owners
do.
now. Yeah. And then we quickly realized we were in the same boat with Gunnison, because
Oh,
there was a lot of crossover. A lot of people live in Mount Pleasant, Ephraim, Manti area, but they go to work down in Gunnison,
yeah, the prison
or
down there or
or vice
something.
versa.
There's
Yeah,
there's a ton of job
yeah,
that
a lot
happens
of
there.
work down there. And so we found ourselves in the same boat, experiencing the same thing with our members, canceling with us and getting a membership down there in Gunnison, or vice versa.
Hmm.
And so we're like, here we go again. And so Lloyd approached the lady that owned the gym down in Gunnison. And that was the same thing. It was a solid year and a half that it took us to get that deal done. But we knew that it was something that we needed to do, because, in these small towns, it's just hard to rely on one source of income when the area that you're serving is just small in
Right.
population.
Yeah, like you can't make a Gunnison gym work with just people from Gunnison.
Exactly. Exactly. So we realized that early on, that this is something that we needed to grow if we wanted to make it sustainable to even just support our families. And so, yeah, it grew. We were able to end up making a deal to buy the Gunnison gym, and so again, we felt like we had solved a problem.
Hmm.
Um, and Lloyd, he's a big picture guy. He's a dreamer. He's a um, little over the top with ideas. And so he started exploring other things, and Richfield uh, came up. I honestly don't even recall how Richfield came about. Um, if he approached them, which I think he did, and
I don't remember either, but it seems like there was something with them where they were like, "Yeah, we're interested."
Yeah, it was
I don't
quick.
remember. Yeah.
Richfield was different. I mean, Ephraim and Gunnison were both, like I said, a year to 2 year processes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took a long time to make those happen. But Richfield was the lady that owned the Richfield gym had been running it for 20 years.
Right. It
And
was it wasn't like built as a gym, but it was like a gym.
yeah, 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 exact same as Mount Pleasant. It was not built for a
Mm-hmm.
gym. It was actually three different business offices in the same building. And she had been there so long that she just slowly bought out each office. And as she bought out each space, her gym gently morphed into bigger areas. But
Yeah.
again, it's a chopped up building because it's not built for what it's being used for. And but yeah, when he approached her, like I said, she had been running it for a long time, probably close to 20 years. And they were just at a point in their life where I think they were ready to move on. And it was really yeah, we're ready to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And that one happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, I
Um,
was thinking it was before Gunnison, but
it
it's
might
been a
have
long
been.
time. I don't
It
remember.
it actually might have been. I don't recall the
I just remember going down every time we'd go down. You're like, we got to go through Gunnison to make sure or to see about the gym, and I couldn't
yeah,
remember if it was just looking for a new space because we've done that a lot
yeah,
too. But
yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was that or if it was like purchase. Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They were
I
close though.
they were close. They
Yeah.
they happened pretty close. And then Monroe, um, that one's just a little tiny
Mm.
gym. And the guy that started that actually approached us, and so that was something that just kind of fell in our laps, and we're like, yeah, it makes sense with the progression that we've had going down the road. So we're like, yeah, we'll do that one. So that was it. In a couple years, yeah, I guess a 5 year span, we went from just having the Mount Pleasant location to having 5 locations.
Yeah. And then
And
whether you wanted to, you were managing a gym.
I was managing. Yeah, that was my full time job, and we were gym owners
Yeah.
unintentionally. It just started with us. We wanted to work out somewhere, and we got an opportunity to do it here, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to look back because again, it's something that we all enjoy, exercising, being active. I feel like that's a good activity to have in your life.
Yeah.
It's good for you physically, obviously, but mentally, emotionally, all the benefits come from that. But what I found more than anything is I found that the people that I run into in the gym are people that are like me. They
Hmm.
want to be better. They want to do better. They want to, they're not afraid to put in the work. And, even though it's, they're in the gym physically exercising, that spans into everything else that they do in their life. So whether they're business owners themselves or, they've got a 9 to 5 job, but they've got a side hustle that they're working on. I just find that, like-minded people
Yeah.
encourage each other. And so, yeah, it's a lot
Hmm.
of fun.
Yeah. I agree. I love going to the gym.
Yeah.
It's great.
Most of the time it's to the point now where I don't work out because I spend so much time talking,
Yeah.
but I feel like again that's just as beneficial, and I love just as much hearing about things that people are doing. I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't get my workout in, but I got to talk with so and so about what they're doing. And
Yeah, I mean it like helps you it's like the mental gym almost, like
oh
at
yeah,
least the mental society build,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah, you get that you're getting fed
Yeah.
or exercise, right? Because then it gets your wheels turning in your
Yep.
head, and you're like, ah, yeah,
That's like the hardest part for me about anything like this is like I can talk to people like you want to have a conversation, great, let's have a conversation, but like to go out and like professionally to go sell myself like LinkedIn, I suck at LinkedIn and I hate going on LinkedIn cuz I'm like it's not who I am, but if anybody knew what I did, they'd probably, if they had a position, would want to, interview me at least or whatever. But
yeah,
and seriously, I've like been looking for a job. I'm like on LinkedIn, and it's like every time I go look at it, I'm like, LinkedIn, But then at the same time, I know like networking is the key to like
oh yeah,
everything that you do. Anything you want to have successful that's like requires more than just yourself. Like you can go hike a mountain without talking to anybody about it and be
yeah.
successful. But if you want to do anything that involves other people, you have to network with people and talk to them.
Well, and that's what I mean. That's exactly what the gym is for us. Like all the things that we do and have done. I mean, I would be surprised if most of them haven't come from people that we've met at the gym or,
Mm-hmm.
working with other people. Because you find, I think a lot of people are in your same shoes. It's hard to put yourself out there. It's hard to sell yourself or your product, especially if you haven't done it. And so, that's being at the gym, talking to people.
Yeah.
You find out that, oh man, you're good, or you're a machinist. There was one guy uh, when we just had the Mount Pleasant location. We were trying to figure out. I mean, one of the many things that we probably started and didn't finish, but we were trying to figure out. We're like, we need a cool sign, and I ended up talking to one of the guys at the gym, and he's like, "Oh, I fabricate stuff, and I've got a plasma cutter, and I could make you a cool sign." And I was like, "I didn't even know you were into that."
Right.
And I was like, I started thinking to myself, I'm like, "Man, you should tell people about this." And he probably didn't feel comfortable doing that, and I think he's still doing it, but he just went and made us a little sign. I think we still got it in the gym just to show us. He's like, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
this is cool." But something like that, I think a lot of people are in that same boat. It's hard
Yeah.
to put yourself out. Again, I think it might more so be fear of, failure.
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
you let people know, hey, this is what I do, but it doesn't pan out,
Right.
like maybe I'd rather not let people know, because then I don't have to experience the
Yeah.
letdown of if I'm not successful.
Yeah. I
But
think I get stuck in the mindset of like, if I am a good worker, it will show
yeah,
because I think that's true,
I
you
think
know,
that's true.
but that nobody
Not on
outside,
not on the broad scale though.
exactly. Nobody
Like,
outside of your company or wherever you're working knows that you're a good worker,
yeah,
and
it's
so
true.
like, that's kind of what like LinkedIn should be is like, this is how you show that you are successful at what you're doing.
Yeah.
It just seems like everything that's social like that gets overtaken with people that are not that,
Yeah,
and then
it's more of a it turns into a peacocking
yeah, yeah. And then it
situation.
like, all the memes you see about like somebody just got their driver's license and this is what they posted on LinkedIn. And it's like, I've officially am here to graduate and celebrate my achievement of getting the ability to operate a motor vehicle in the state of, whatever. And it's like this two
Yeah,
paragraph long thing. You're like, hey, you just could have just said you got
I
a
got
driver's
my
license,
license. Yeah,
but and not everyone on LinkedIn's like that, but like I get
sure.
where I see that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be associated with the idea of, well, I'm trying to make myself look better than I am.
Yeah. Yeah, let your work
So
speak for yourself. But
yeah,
there's got to be a little bit of that, because like you said, how do you reach out beyond your group
yep,
of friends or associates without that?
yeah,
And it's hard. I mean, I think there's a fine line there to be said of, you know, letting people know that you're good at what you do through your work alone,
mm-hmm.
but getting it outside of that group
Yeah, it's
as
hard.
well. It's hard
Yeah,
for
even
sure.
even with LinkedIn and stuff, I still feel like you only get a job when you know somebody.
Yeah.
It's still how it is. Like
Sure.
it's,
Yeah, because people, I mean, it's hard to hire someone that you don't know, or somebody that somebody doesn't know
yeah,
how they work or how they
yeah.
operate. You want to have that connection of
Hmm.
someone vouches for you, or like, yeah, they're good at what they do.
Yeah. And usually now anyway, it seems like if you're in a career path, like for me in information security, there's only so many information security people in Utah. And after you've been to enough conferences and worked in the field for long enough,
The
three
people.
quarters of them. And
Yeah.
so you're like, now it's easy to just be like, well, I know he's hiring for something over there at that company. I can go and talk to them or whatever, or vice versa.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time where I'm like, hey, this is somebody that I trust and know, and they do a great job in this position.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. It's just hard. But I think the gym also, like, where you're sharing in that, like, I'm gonna torture myself concept,
Yeah.
it's almost easier to open up to people because you can see that they're already doing something difficult.
Yep.
They're already kind of doing the same thing you're doing, so you can be like, yeah, and then you
No,
start a conversation.
100%. It's a different mindset, right?
Hmm.
Someone that's willingly and knowingly doing something hard
Yeah.
is a different mindset. And that translates, I think, across the board to life. Um, the gym is the catalyst for it, but it opens up the doors to a
Hmm.
lot of different things, I
Well, I think
believe.
you see that in people's lives too. Like, a lot of people will start out with something like going to the gym, and that's the change that they make in their life. Then all of a sudden they realize they can make that change. Well, what about this other change?
Yeah.
And what about this other change? And so it's fun to watch the progression of people as they do these things anyway,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. But then you want to share in the excitement and talk to them and encourage
Yeah.
and be involved to some extent.
Yeah,
But
knowing that you can do hard things. I mean, that's really what it's about, right?
yeah,
Knowing that you can do hard things and opens the door to a lot. And for me, that was sales. That was door to
right.
door. When I figured out that I could make it through that, I'm like, my mindset, and Lloyd's on the same. I tell people this all the time. You know, for a living, we're professional failures, right? We're not afraid to do anything. Whether we should be doing it or not, that's another conversation. But we're not afraid to try anything, because we strongly believe that the only way that you fail is if you quit. It might not
Right.
turn out how you intended it to turn out, but you never truly fail at anything unless you quit. You may start something and realize, oh, this isn't going exactly how I planned, but you pivot and you go into something else, unintended sometimes, but it's not failure unless you quit.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and so I
There's
don't.
like two types of failure: failure to start, and then quitting.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly,
when
exactly.
when you take yourself out of it, that's failure.
Yep,
Otherwise, it's just a learning process.
that's all it is. Education.
Yeah.
I chalk it up to education, and it's education that I love. I like the physical, the doing, the being in it type of education
Hmm.
versus schooling.
Right.
Like I said, I learned way more selling about life and business and things than I ever did in school. And
Yeah.
so I love that the actual doing of it and being in it, I feel is a lot more uh, successful way to learn.
Yeah. Well, I
And
mean, it's not theoretical.
it's not. It's
You're gonna
it's
get,
application.
yeah, you're gonna either see the fruits of it or you're gonna get slapped in the face. So,
Yep.
it makes it difficult to not learn. You
Yeah,
know?
it forces you to learn
Yep.
quick because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I don't want to get. I don't want to do it that way again.
Yeah.
Let's do it better next time. So, so yeah, that's kind of our story. We got to the gyms, I would say unintentionally. Um, and now we really enjoy it. And there's still to this day, I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people never see or realize, to keep it going, um, that is hard.
Hmm.
Right? Any business owner will tell you, wearing 10 hats is not always fun.
Yeah.
Um, and oftentimes, small businesses, the struggle is you can't afford to pay people
Hmm.
to help you, and so you end up doing everything yourself. And because you're doing everything yourself, a lot of times things fall through the cracks,
Yeah.
because you are learning as you go. There's no manual.
Well, plus no one is perfect at everything like that.
No.
Like if you're a
Well, your
good
skill
business
set,
guy,
yeah,
yeah, like if you're a good business guy, like even you and Lloyd is a great example because you're really good at doing the work and Lloyd's really good at seeing the bigger picture
yeah,
and viewing things, but
100%,
he'll do the work that he has to do,
yeah,
but that's not like his like grind.
yeah,
His grind is like, I want to see what's next. How do we change this to be something more or,
yep,
you know,
yeah, and finding people that you can work with. I
mhm.
mean, that in and of itself is the hardest thing. Having partners that you trust and that you can work with and get along with, and that your skill sets, um, I guess, complement each other in a way. We always, we have this joke that, uh, Katie's the boat, right? You see the boat,
Hmm.
and Lloyd, let's see, how did it go? Maybe my dad was the boat. Katie was the sails. You see the sails,
Okay.
and Lloyd is the wind. So Lloyd's unseen. He's the wind that pushes the boat,
Right.
but I'm the water. And it doesn't work. A boat doesn't work at all unless you have the water.
Right.
That's our joke. But we work good together because we're good at different things. And yeah, I'm very much a doer.
Yeah.
Right. I can execute and get things done, and Katie and Lloyd are good at dreaming things up, um, and so we work good that way. But yeah, that's a hard part to find that, and especially family. Family's hard to work with sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess to this point we're figured it out, and
Yeah.
we're still doing it. So
Yeah.
about, like I said, 10 years in, and um, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. The ups and downs, things are hard. Um, but it's an ongoing education. It's an
Yeah.
ongoing process to try and get better and try to do things better and better processes and all of it. And then you get to the point where you start working with people, um, that for me, I mean, we've got a lot of people that we work with that I'm just blown away with. I'm like, man, I've been doing this 10 years, and I never thought once about doing it that way.
Mm.
We've never, I'd never claimed to have the best ideas or know the best way to do things.
Hmm.
I just do them the way I do them.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun to work with people that think differently than you, and that are willing to take the reins and do them. And we've got a lot of those people. And so it's getting more fun to be in that with people that are passionate about it too. Char's one of those that took the reins, and the whole personal training side of things,
Hmm.
I directly contribute to Katie and Char, right?
Right.
And Char, I think, blew it up with what she did. And it's been fun to see that. And we've got other people that are helping us grow in ways that neither Lloyd nor I would ever have even approached, just
Yeah.
because we don't think that way.
Right.
And so that's I would say that's one of the really um, fun parts of it is working with people that are passionate about it and think differently than you do
Mm-hmm.
to help grow it and make it better for the community.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Not just better for you, but better to serve
oh yeah,
the people.
100%. But yeah, we've had our growing pains, and we continue to have our growing pains. We're in some pretty uh, big growing pains right now that we're trying to work through, but we'll work through them.
Yeah. And so you guys now have got two in Utah County also,
Yeah.
Payson and Salem.
Yep. That was again, no idea how Lloyd made that connection or uh, really made that happen. He was just, I think, someone that he reached out to. The guy owned those two gyms up there, and we just started having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that one took us over a year as well
Mm-hmm.
to make that deal. And we were able to make something work with those two. So yeah, we've got one in Payson and one in Salem, and so 7 locations total now that we're trying to make communicate
Right.
one with another, and that in and of itself has
And
been
standardize.
oh man,
That's difficult.
that's been an enormous challenge that we're probably, I don't know, 80% through. We're hoping to get that finalized by the end of the communication between them done by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, from there, we're always looking for opportunities to grow, trying to justify them, to make them make sense. Because we enjoy the process.
Yeah.
And we enjoy the interactions with people that come along with that process.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you focus or almost completely on the gyms,
yes.
right?
Yep.
Are you involved with other things that are under Hive, like the
No.
drink shack or anything like that?
Nope. So, Katie and Lloyd, they do the drink shack and the daycare on their own.
Okay.
I'm only partners in the gym, and the real estate side of things
Mhm.
as far as that goes. So,
Where do you see things going for the gyms? Like, what's your next, whatever you want to share, obviously, like you don't
Sure.
have to give away any kind of
no, there's,
deals or something. That's
I mean, there's nothing currently on the table. We've done an addition. We've added space to our building in Richfield. That was
Mhm.
our project in 2024. In 2025, we're working on doing an addition. Well, and before that, we did an addition on the Mount Pleasant building.
Yeah.
I don't remember what year that was, but yeah, an addition on Richfield in 24 that's turned out really nice. We're currently working on an addition on our Ephraim building.
Mhm.
That'll add a lot of much needed space, because that gym's, it gets full and just tight. And so that's our project that we're fully focused on for 25. And then aside from that, we don't have anything else in the works actively. I mean, we're always looking for opportunities, whether it's to, add on to, or, get into better spaces.
Move or whatever.
Yeah,
to
we're
make it bigger.
always looking for opportunities but it's hard in these small towns because there's not a lot of commercial space,
Mhm.
and it just doesn't make it doesn't make financial sense to build a new building,
Mhm.
just because the population, it just it can't support the expense of that.
Mhm.
Even though we'd love to do it, and trust me, we've exhausted all the options to do it in some of these smaller towns. But so we're trying to do the best with what we can. We'd love to expand and to keep growing. There's markets that, we've been looking for opportunities to grow into, that just hasn't. Again, we haven't found
Give it a
anything.
year.
Yeah, yeah.
That seems to be how it goes,
That
right?
seems how it's gone.
Contact, and then a year later, maybe something will happen.
Yep. But yeah, we're always looking for opportunities to expand into other areas and kind of bridge the gap, between San Pete and Sevier and Utah County, to make it convenient, because Snow College pulls in a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're coming and going, so we want to make it more convenient for people to access our facilities, access the gym, to be more active, and I guess take away the excuse of, oh, I don't have a membership, or the gym's too far away, or you know what I mean?
Yep.
Something like that. So
Cool. What do you feel like is right now, if you were to point to somebody who would be the most influential in your life for business? And I don't care if that's like support or if that's growth or knowledge or what. But
um I I would say probably two things, or two people. Well, so one probably would be my dad. Um Kind of his story. He worked for 40 years as a meat cutter, and I tried. So super conservative mindset, not willing or wanting to take any risks. And so I tried to get him for several years, to go in on some projects with me, because I wanted to work with him. And finally, after some poking and prodding from me, he was like, okay, let's do it. And so that we started our stuff in 2012. And so we've been doing that for a while. But so for him, I would say it's been super encouraging to me to watch his mindset shift from that super conservative, no risk mindset, to now some of the things that we're doing is, if you would have mentioned it to him 10, 15 years ago, it would have been off the table.
right, like don't even bring it up.
Yeah, it's not feasible. To now, it's, how do we figure it out? How do we make it work? What can we do? What can we do to make it work, or who can we work with to make it work?
Yeah.
And then just his, mindset. I'm wired a lot like him, of let's just go to work. And I love that. I love being able to just work with him every day, and always have, if he's his brain never shuts off, so there's never a problem that can't be solved.
Right.
Sometimes,
just give it some time.
Yeah, give it some time. Sometimes the solutions that are come up with are off the wall, but there's always a solution, and that's how he's wired. And so I love being around that, of there's never a problem that doesn't have a solution. Sometimes you have to be creative in that solution, but there's never a problem that can't be sorted out or fixed, or
right. Yeah.
and so I would say that would be number one. And then the other is not a specific person, but more the group of individuals that I worked with while I was selling.
Okay.
And there was a lot of them that I still look up to, that went on and did other things, starting their own businesses, and becoming very successful in their own right.
Yeah.
And so just encourages me, because again, I feel like I'm wired a lot like them and have similar skill set to be able to accomplish, those things. And so they're, I look at them as my rabbit, right? That I'm
Mm.
chasing,
Yeah.
that just encourages me to keep working, and that, there's never a door that can be closed that you can't break through, right? Or deal that can't be figured out. And so I would say those would be my two, individuals or groups that I look up to that
Mm.
have kind of kept me going
Yeah, that's great.
through it. So,
Sweet. Well, I think we're probably about time.
yes,
So
it's been
there's
great.
one down.
Yep. Good
I'm
work.
sure we'll be back again.